Hi guys, welcome to your 12.3 notes on measures of central tendency and dispersion. By the end of the day, you will be able to find the mean, median, mode, and range of a set of data. So what I want you to walk away from this lesson knowing is that you can use different measures, the measures being these guys, to interpret and compare sets of data. Because when you're looking at a list of data and you have a bunch of numbers, it's hard to compare all these lists. If only you had some good summary or some good measure, that would help you a lot. So we're going to look at those today. Before we look at these measures, I want to define something for you, and let's talk about an outlier. An outlier is something that lies outside, right? It lies outside of a range. An outlier is a data value that's much greater or much less than everything else that you're dealing with. It's just kind of hanging out. It's like the loner. It's super different. For example, a good example of an outlier would be if I am babysitting in the nursery and there's a whole bunch of little babies in the nursery, right? Just a whole bunch of them. And I was taking the height of everyone in the nursery. So you have a little bit of a big baby, and then you have kind of a medium baby, and then you have some little small guys, and then you have, some little, whoops. You have some little babies, right? Okay. And you measure all the babies, and then the outlier, if you're measuring everyone in the room, yes, you have some babies, but you also have the adults taking care of them. If you measure everyone's height, this outlier, this person right here, this adult, they're going to be the outlier because they're way taller than everybody else. So an outlier is something that lies outside of the normal. All right. So let's talk about measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency will describe the middle of a set of data. And I promise I didn't mean to make this look so Christmassy, but we're going to stick with it. So let's first talk about the mean. Go the screen. The mean is the fancy math way to say average. And to find the average, we say that it is equal to, that's mu, it's Greek m, it's equal to the sum of the data values divided by the number of data values. Basically, you count up everything you have, and then you divide by how many you have. Do you know what I mean? That's the average. So you'll want to use the mean when your data does not have an outlier. Use your mean when your data does not have an outlier. So again, if we're looking at the heights of our babies over here, if I want to find the average height of the baby, okay, cool. But since I have an outlier, that'll really skew my average height a lot. It'll mess it up. So instead of using the average of the heights, I will want to use the median. The median is the middle number. So if I put everyone in order, and then I found the middle height, that'll be the height of the middle baby. It's very important, then, that you write the values in order. That is from smallest to biggest, or from least to greatest. That's super important. Oh my goodness, star that. If you're trying to find the middle number, you need to write the values in order. And then you just you cross them out and you find what's in the middle. However, if you have an even number of values, you're not going to have something exactly in the middle. So then you take the mean of those two. So it's not the mean overall, but it's going to be the mean of the two middle values. So like I said earlier, you're going to want to use this when the data in fact do have an outlier. Let's say, for example, we're taking a quiz And, you know, it's a great quiz because, of course, all quizzes are great. Where am I going? But one of you wasn't here. So if you were sick the day before and then you have a quiz in class, but you don't know what's happening because you weren't in class, then your grade is really going to bring down the average score. So I wouldn't want to look at the mean score then. I would want to look at the median because we have one really, really low score that's messing it up. Okay, so use the mean when you don't have an outlier. Use the median when you do have an outlier. And then finally, let's talk about the mode. The mode we use for the most common. Because most common, mode. The mode is the most common. Personally, I don't find the mode very helpful usually, but it is helpful when you're dealing with data that's not numbers. That is, when the data is, we say, non-numeric. Non-numeric as in not numbers. Or if you're trying to find the most popular one. Or when choosing the most popular. So it's the option that comes up the most. So if you're like voting for something, this would be a good idea. Yeah, that's an example. So the votes is like the mode, but who do the people vote for the most? Okay, so this is our key idea right here. The 3 measures of central tendency and when you're going to use them. Love it. Put them on your index card. Remember it forever. It's very important. Okay, let's go through an example. So we have the bowling scores of these. What are the mean, median, and mode of the scores? Well, to find the mean, remember we add them up and divide by how many you have. So to find the mean, we're going to add them all up. 104 plus 117 plus 104 plus 136 plus 109 plus 113 plus 104. Great. Did we get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, we got them all. Cool. Now, oh hey, that was convenient. We needed to know how many we have. Well, we have 7. So we add them all up and we divide by 7. Okay, well, adding these up, doing some quick maths in my head. That's 787 divided by 7. And that doesn't come out super nice, but it's approximately 112.4. So that's our mean. Our average score in our bowling is 112.4. I don't really know much about bowling, but I think that's okay, right? That's respectable. We'll go for it. We're proud of our efforts. Now let's go ahead and find the median. Oh guys, I used the wrong color for mean. Okay, here we go. Now to find the median, then we need to find the middle number. But what is the first thing we must do before we find the middle number? We must write the values in order. So we're going to write these values in order from smallest to biggest. That was special. From smallest to biggest. Here we go. So our smallest, we have 104. And then we have another 104. We have one more 104. And then after that, we have 109. After that, our next smallest is 113. After that, our next smallest is 117. And finally, 136. Now you notice here that I was crossing them off as I wrote them down so that I knew I wouldn't skip any. Speaking of crossing them off, that's how we're going to find the middle number. It's not some super fancy like algebra up here. Nope. What we're going to do, we're literally, to find the middle number, we're just going to cross them out. So we start 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. That leaves our middle number as 109. I just gave you a thumbs up. Our median is 109 because that's the middle number. finally, we want to find the mode. Remember, the mode is the most common. So we want to find what number appears the most common. Well, 104. 104 is 3 times, and everything else shows up just once. So our mode is 104. Now we want to determine which measure of central tendency best describes our data. Which one is best? Now our mode, our most common score, that's not very important when we're talking about bowling. Also, non-numeric, we're looking for what's the most common, or which is especially applicable when we don't have numbers and we are dealing with numbers, so probably not mode. Median is okay. I know a lot of people really like medians, but in this case, we don't have an outlier. So we don't want to use our median. Instead, since we don't have an outlier, let's go with our mean. Know what I mean? Our mean is going to be the best fit for this guy because there's no outliers. Hi. Okay. Now, speaking of the mean, what if we want to get an average score? You guys ask this question of me a lot as your teacher, and you say, well, what's the grade I need to get to earn at least a 60% in this class? Or I want to earn at least an 80% in this class. Or I want to get a B+. I want to get an 88. Oh, let's go with that one. So let's say you've had 3 tests so far, and on your test you earned 80, a 93, and a 91. What grade do you need on the next exam, the next test, to have an average of 88 on the 4 tests? Well, to remember, when we're talking about average, that's finding the mean. And when we want them, how do we find the mean? Our mean is not the middle number. We're going to add them up and divide by how many we have. So let's add them up. So we have 80 plus 93 plus 91. If we divide that by 3, that will give us our current average. That's, what are we earning right now? But that's not what we care about. We want to find 4 tests. What grade do you need on the next test to get an average of 88 on all 4 tests? Well, if we want this average, we need to pretend we've already taken the 4th test. So we're going to say, let X be our score on the 4th test. Then, instead of finding what our current average is that we don't really care about, our scores of all those tests are going to be 80 plus 93 plus 91 plus X all over 4, because those will be all those 4 tests together. And we want that to be 88, so we're going to set that equal to 88. Okay? So now let's solve this guy for X. Let's add these guys up. Again, quick in your head, get that as 264 plus X all over 4 equals 88. To solve for X, we'll multiply by 4 on both sides, giving us 264 plus X equals 352. And then finally, we'll subtract 264 from both sides. So X is, 88. How fun is that? You need an average, you need an X score of 88 to get an average of 88. That was funny. Good job. You need 88%. You can do it. Even if you've gotten 2 A's already, and this was probably just a bad test. Maybe you were super hungry or sick. You can do it. I totally believe in you. We're almost there. Let's talk about a range. Oh, look, I gave it away. Your range is going to measure how spread out your values are. For example, here, oh, I didn't even tell you how to find it. Psh, look at me go. So the range is equal to the greatest value minus your smallest value. For example, up here, our biggest test score was 93. So our range is 93 minus our lowest test score, which is 80. That comes out to 13. So you have a range of 13 on your scores. Yep. I was trying to come up with a pun, and then it didn't happen. Okay, so one more. Yes, this is great, but when are we going to use this in real life? Well, let me tell you. So I have two classes, and they were given exactly the same quiz. Here are the shows. Their scores shown below. For example, this means that 6 people, this is called a line plot, by the way. A line plot gives you a line, and then it counts how many people hit that value. So if we look at Class A, that means 3 people earned a 6, and 6 people earned a 3, and 6 people earned a 4 from Class A. However, if we look at Class C, only 2 people got a 6, and 5 people got a 3, but a lot of people, 12 people total, 12, got a 2 or lower. Yikes. Sorry, Class C. I need to study again. So if you look at how our points lie on here, most of the scores for Class A line up in the middle. So we have a lot of scores that are in the middle of our plot, whereas we have a lot of scores for Class C to the left. Looking at this means that more students in Class A got high scores and few students in Class C got high scores. However, we have 17 people got a 3 or less. That's wrong. That's 12 plus 5. Yeah, that's 17. Okay. Whereas here we have 13 people got a 3 or less. So Class A is obviously doing better. Because we have more high scores in Class A than in Class C, that means the mean for Class A, again, our mean is our average. Our mean for Class A is going to be greater than the mean for Class C. And finally, if we look at our median, remember our median means our middle number. Our median for Class A is going to be exactly right in the middle. And as you can see, Class A is actually perfectly balanced here. So their median is going to be 3.5. But the median for Class C is going to be a little trickier to find. So what we can do is we can do what we did earlier. To find the median, you're just going to cross them off until you find a middle. So we go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. And you just kind of keep going until you get a value in the middle. And it's going to be 3. So our middle value is right here in the middle. Now let's analyze it. Because the average for Class A was greater and the median for Class A is also greater, then we can say overall that Class A did better. Yay, good job, Class A. Okay, so there are 3 ways to measure central tendency. We've got mean, median, and mode, by the way. What is the mode for Class A? Class A has 2 modes. It's both 3 and 4. You're allowed to have 2 modes. We just write there like that. And Class C has a mode of 1 and 2. If they were all the same, like if there's just one of each, we would say there's no mode, and that's fine too. Now the mode here is not very helpful, but even though it's bigger in Class A. So there you go. The average is higher, so we had the mean, the median, and the mode. We also have the range. Just for practice, what is the range of each set? Remember, it's the greatest score minus the smallest score, which is 6 minus 1 is 5. So our range is 5. It's not very helpful here, but there you go. Cool. Those are our notes. Remember this. It's our key idea. Love it. Memorize it. It's going to be great. Have an excellent time on your homework.